gang color jacket and ran down Citizens for Laughs. He had an old lady named Petula who packed an automatic 45 gun. They had just come up from California where they'd shot 6 cops for fun. Chicks who thought it was the best there was down the interstate he saw, till the day he tangled with the county sheriff who they all call 104.
Do you have a paranormal story you want to share on Night Dreams Talk Radio? You could be a guest. Email us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com, and thank you.
Night Dreams Talk Radio, After Dark, wants to give a big shout out to all the truckers that listen to our show. Night Dreams Talk Radio Network brings you the World Paranormal News with James Creechbaum. Now, the latest news.
This is Night Dreams Talk Radio Network News, and I'm James Creechbaum. And 45 miles of Wyoming's I-80 was closed today due to multiple crashes. Part of I-80 is expected to be closed most of the day Friday due to crashes in weather, and that's from WYDOT. Now, the Wyoming Department of Transportation says that they was going to keep most of I-80 between Laramie and Cheyenne closed for most of the day today due to serious pileup involving several semi-trucks. On Friday morning, WYDOT announced that they closed both directions of I-80 between Laramie and Cheyenne due to multiple crashes at the mile marker 331. New York State now requires a permit to look for UFOs, meteors, and stars. Yes, if you're someone who watches for UFOs, meteors, or stars, or sky watches, and you're in the state of New York, you may want to avoid doing that unless you have a permit. Attachments. Did you know spirits can attach themselves to any object? Anything from a hairbrush, chair, mirror, ring, etc. A house doesn't have to have a tragedy or anyone to pass away in it to be haunted. You can bring in a spirit home with you as easily as purchasing something at a yard sale, flea market, or an auction, or as easily as having something passed down to you from someone else that has passed away. If that object belonged to someone who had a strong connection or bond to it, and they're still hanging around, they will go wherever the object goes. A lot of people have something they are protective over and love. A lot of objects hold energy, so be careful what you bring home. Why does time seem to move faster as we grow older? Proportional theory, telescopy, time pressure, and the reminiscence bump may each play a role. So, why is it that time appears to move faster as we grow older? Well, there are an awful lot of theories that give us insight, but a direct scientific law so far remains elusive. In 1877, the ratio theory was born, which states that we compare intervals to the total amount of time we've been alive. This can also be called proportional theory, the idea that as we age, our sense of the present begins to feel short as compared to our total lifespan. So as a child, a year feels like forever simply because it takes up a good portion of your total time alive. Mounds in Louisiana and a campus may be the oldest, says they may be the oldest human-made structures in the world. Geology professor discovered evidence he claims will prove they are human-made structures used for religious ceremonies. The structures were built 11,300 years ago, making them 3 times older than the Egyptians' pyramids and possibly the oldest man-made structures in the world. Witnesses say the USS Nimitz Tic Tac had incredible flight capabilities, but that's not all. They went up, left, down, forward, and any way it wanted to go. At any speed it wanted to go, which was hard for your brain to kind of wrap its mind around. This was how Gary Voorhees, former petty officer, third class, fire controlman aboard the USS Princeton, described the behavior of an unidentified flying object that was tracked and observed across multiple systems during the 2004 naval incident off the coast of California. The events described here, commonly known today as the USS Nimitz UFO incident, have become one of the most widely discussed instances involving unexplained aerial phenomena of the modern era. Bizarre particles from under Antarctica defy physics. The final nail in the coffin for the standard model of particle physics might be coming from under Antarctica ice. While a series of new discoveries have challenged our understanding of physics, recently astrophysicists revealed they had detected a mysterious ultra-high energy particle in Antarctica, according to the researchers. Any possible explanation of these particles defies the standard model of astrophysics. Next news break, top of the hour.
You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark with our host, Gary Anderson.
And here I am, and you know what? I don't know. All I know is that I'm older. Time is flying by. When I was 5 or 6 years old, just wanting to get into the next grade of school seemed like it took forever. The day drug out forever. And then when I hit 18, it started speeding up. And then when I got in my mid-20s, time was going a little bit faster. And when I got into my 30s, it was speeding up even more. 50s. Well, the day seemed now not like 24 hours long. It seems like maybe 13 or 14. And now at my age, 68, I get up. I come into the studio. I book a few guests. I do what I need to do. And the next thing I know, it's time to go to bed. What happened? I don't know. There's so many discussions about time. But what is time other than what we label it? So just think about that. So each one of us might interpret time physically, emotionally, different than the clock on the wall. Let's get our guests on here and, let's talk about ghost hunting and stuff like that. So let's get Tony on.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I'm ready for the snow if it happens here in the next day or two.
Hello.
Hi, Tony. You got Gary on Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, Tony.
Doing great, Gary.
Okay.
How about yourself?
I am doing, well, as good as anybody could at my age. Well, why don't you tell the listeners, Tony, a little bit about yourself and what you and your wife do and what got you into, well, the eerie stuff of ghost hunting and trying to capture sounds and all that stuff.
Sure, be happy to. Well, it was funny because over a decade ago, I was a complete skeptic. I mean, ghosts didn't cross my mind. I didn't believe they existed. And it wasn't until I had met my wife and we actually had become husband and wife, but she would always sit and watch the different paranormal shows that were on TV, and she'd always say to me, "Hey, come over here, watch this. You'll really like this." Well, I couldn't sit through about 3 minutes of it without just thinking it wasn't true and it was all for TV, and I'd get up and leave. Well, one Valentine's Day over 10 years ago, my wife said to me, "I want to do something different." And I said, "Okay, what do you want to do?" And she said, "I want to go someplace haunted." And I thought, oh, boy. But, of course, to appease her, I went along with her idea, and I booked us for a weekend in what was known in the Phoenix area as a haunted hotel. And then I went out and bought her some relatively inexpensive equipment at the time because I figured this was going to be something we did for one weekend and never touched it again. And so she got to go ghost hunting. We went and stayed at the Hotel San Carlos in Phoenix, and she used her night vision cameras. She used her regular cameras. She used video recorders, and I think I had bought you an EMF recorder also, right, Sheree?
Correct.
Okay, so anyway, she had fun. That was all I cared about. But it wasn't until she got what she had captured over the weekend home and started reviewing it that I was absolutely blown away.
Well, Tony,
she was calling.
Tony,
yeah,
okay, you had the whole weekend, and in your mind, you were probably thinking, she probably didn't get anything, and but it was a fun weekend and romantic and all this stuff. You get home, what happens?
Well, exactly like you said, I didn't think we were catching anything, nor did I expect anything. Well, she got the materials home, and she started going through them. And she was calling me over every 3 to 5 minutes. Look what's in this photo. Listen to this audio recording. What's that in the video? And this just kept happening. Over every minute of it, she'd watch, or each photograph she'd go through. I was blown away. We had voices, answers to the questions we were asking on the video or on the audio recorder. We had silhouettes, mists, and other things in the video we captured. I was absolutely blown away. But the thing that blew me away the most was we were one of 3 guests in the hotel that entire weekend. And there's 7 floors, 300 and some odd rooms. There was no one around. And we had answers to the questions we were asking on the audio recording. And for about a 4-month period, I just could not comprehend it. I couldn't understand it. I was searching for answers and going a little crazy because I couldn't get any answers as to how these voices appeared. And that's what started it for us. And now 10 years later, or over 10 years, whatever it's been, we're still doing it on a regular basis.
We probably investigated that hotel for more than 50 times.
Yeah, we investigated that one hotel over 50 times before we moved on to other locations.
Wow, so it was that of a hot spot. I mean, when you were there, the first time you were there, did you hear or physically see anything, or it was only on film and the recorder? And back then, was it a digital recorder, or was it, I hate to say it, Memorex?
No, we didn't hear it. No, we heard one. We heard that one voice say, "Hey." But other than that, no, we didn't see anything with our own eyes. We didn't hear anything with our own ears. It wasn't until we got the photographs, the video, and the audio recordings home. And I think it was one of the early digital recorders that we had. So yes, it was digital at that time.
Interesting. Now, as it progressed, because you said you went there about 50 times. Now, I'm going to tell you a real quick story. When I've been in radio since 76, and at one point I decided I needed to take a break. And 2 passions in my life, since I was a little kid, one was photography. The other was, well, you put me behind a microphone, you can't shut me up. Good combination. I took a job in Tacoma managing a chain of professional camera stores. Now, this is back in the early 90s to mid 2000s. And the store I was in, the original owner of the store, have you ever seen the collapse of the Narrows Bridge?
Sure.
Okay, well, that was done by the original owner of the store, and his son took it over. So, the store had a reputation. Well, anyway, we had people working on the sales floor. I got hired on as a salesman and then quickly promoted to the general manager that fast. And all our employees, because the Tacoma area, you have you got a naval base by it, you got the Air Force, and you have the Army, all within a few miles of it. And our employees were either ex-military or, come and work part-time military people.
Sure.
And they
Sure.
would tell me stories